Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucha Rewatch Season 3. We are on episode 18, which means that on today's episode, we will be discussing Lucha Underground Season 3, episodes 35 and 36, aka the final episodes of Lucha Underground Season 3 prior to Ultima Lucha 3. And I gotta tell you guys, I always love Lucha Underground whenever we watch it, but these two episodes really did kind of make me feel like I'm falling back in love with Lucha Underground all over again. It's that good.
Yeah, man, these episodes were absolutely fantastic. Of course, we're talking about episodes 35 and 36. A lot happened here. You know, the final push before Ultima Lucha Trace. I thought you got some interesting matches here, some great cinematics, especially as we say consistently. The cinematics are where Lucha Underground excels. And yeah, like I just really can't wait to unpack these. So whenever you're ready, let's just dive right into these.
Absolutely. Let's dive right into these things. And to start things off, we get the backstage cinematic finding out that Ricky Mandel is now Ricky Mundo.
Yes. And I mean, Jack Evans through his sign is laughing his ass off. Ty is just like, Johnny isn't going to like this. And then I love it because Johnny just like slides right into frame. What am I not going to like?
What am I not going to like? Yeah.
Exactly. And then, you know, Ricky shows it to him. And Johnny, like, it shows like him kind of like scrutinizing it and zoning in on the Mundo part. And he's like, you know, what is this? And you know, Ricky Mundo is like, I've changed my name to Mundo. It's the ultimate tribute to you. And Mundo immediately doesn't like it. He's like, you know, change it back. I can't change it back. No, change it back. There can only be one Johnny Mundo in Worldwide Underground. And then Ricky Mundo's like, wait, does that mean I'm in Worldwide Underground? And then, I don't even know why I wasn't as offended by this the first time. And then Ricky Mundo touches Johnny Mundo.
Not only touches him, John, he hugs him.
I know. First of all, that was my goddamn hug. Once again, you know, taking my fucking spot. And then second of all, ew, you fucking urchin. Know your place. Oh my God. This sickened me all over again. I honestly hope he gets excommunicated this season. I will laugh my fucking ass off. But yeah, he's hugging Johnny. They got to pry Johnny away. But they can't deal with Ricky's just impetuousness and immaturity right now. They've got to focus on the Atomicos match. So then when they leave, you know, Ricky Mundo's left alone. He looks at his ID and he smiles like, I knew you'd come through. So he's just so thankful that either A, gets to be Ricky Mundo, or B, even if they don't like it, like he's in World Underground. Either way, Ricky hasn't processed consequences here. He wins either way. So yeah, that was that cinematic. And I love Worldwide Underground, with the exception of Ricky. I really can't stand his face. But one day it'll be taken care of. Today was just not that day. So yeah. Anything else you want to add to this?
Do I want to add anything to this? Let's see. Yeah, the only thing that I will add isn't even a comment on my part. It's just something that we haven't actually touched on yet. Johnny Mundo did touch on the fact that he will be facing Prince Puma in a few weeks, and that I think that they had the Atomicos match on this show too. And yeah. He just said that, like he did on the first ever episode of Lucha Underground, he's going to take Puma's ass to Slamtown. Because it is worth noting that this was the 100th episode of Lucha Underground, so everyone, it felt like, kind of had to comment on that. And of course, Mundo was, this might be the 100th episode, but on the first episode, I'm going to do the same thing that I did, or basically this is the 100th episode, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the first episode, and that's take Puma's ass to Slamtown. So that was the whole thing. But yeah, Ricky Mundo is now a thing, and God, I just love the cheeseball factor of this. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucha Underground does that quite well. And I am glad that you brought up that, you know, this is the 100th episode and all that stuff, because you're absolutely right about that. 110%. You know, it's a monumental time for Lucha Underground. And I was so happy.
Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're not on the 110th episode yet, just the 100th.
I did say 100th.
No, you said 110%. I was being a joke.
Oh, God. Well, God, stop making such bad jokes when we're live. But yeah, no, it's a monumental time for them. And they're very happy for them for sure. But yeah, we go from that, I believe, right to the Atomicos match. And yeah, it's Puma, Cage, Sexy Star, and Phoenix. I know we struggled last week to remember what the teams were.
Yeah, and that's because the team was not what I expected. Because I expected it to basically just be Puma teaming up with Johnny Mundo's like biggest championship contenders throughout his title reign, and so I thought it was going to be Sexy Star and the Mac, and then I don't remember who else I thought it would be. I don't even remember, but it did end up being Sexy Star, Phoenix, and Cage. Sexy Star makes absolute sense because she has beef, or has at least interacted with 3 members of Worldwide Underground. Let's remember PJ Black knocked her out of the Cueto Cup. She hates Taya's guts, and we already know that she has beef with Johnny because he took the title off of her. Phoenix, let's not forget, he was originally tag team partners. He was a trios partner with PJ Black and Jack Evans, and Mundo beat him down, took his spot, and won the trios titles with the guys that were supposed to be Phoenix's partners, took his spot. And I don't know if Phoenix has any other beef with any other members of the Worldwide Underground. Like, I don't think he has a problem with Taya, although I do feel like I recall them having an interaction in the ring at one point. But then Cage, we already remember his huge feud with Mundo in season 2 that involved like a cage match and everything. So that was crazy too. So yeah, all 3 of these people have some kind of beef with Johnny Mundo specifically, and 2 of them at least have some kind of beef with other members of the Worldwide Underground as well.
Yeah, I really love how that was done. I mean, you know, to your point with the Cage rivalry, that's where Taya debuted. So, like, yeah, all these people in one form or another.
Cage was Taya's first match in the Temple.
Exactly, yeah. So all these people in one form or another have a significant tie to Worldwide Underground. And then Worldwide Underground, of course, you know, is Mundo, Taya, PJ, and Ricky. And when Ricky is doing his introduction, you know, and I'm Ricky Mundo, and the pose, Johnny cuts him off, you know, sick of Ricky's shit, says more or less, look, you've been benched because we got a new partner, Marty the Moth Martinez. And can I just say, what an upgrade.
I know, right, dude? And I absolutely love that Marty came out wearing the Worldwide Underground bandana. That made me so happy.
Yeah, he was so a part of it. And I love, too, I mean, not to jump the gun too much, but when we actually get to the match, there is one point where the Worldwide Underground does their, you know, hands together kind of pose.
Yes!
And Marty joins in, but they kind of shoo him away from it.
And then he just does the moth flap of the wings afterwards.
I love it, dude.
I'm a part of it, guys! I'm a part of it!
I'm a part of it. I'm a part of it like everyone else. But yeah, I thought that was great. Great upgrade for the Worldwide Underground. As far as the match itself, not bad. You know, it was a fun match. You know, great energy throughout. Really, though, again, a lot with Lucha Underground. It's less about the spots and more about the narrative. Because, you know, Cage comes into the match at one point. He's dominating. He's cleaning house. But Jeremiah Crane comes in, and he steals Cage's gauntlet. So that's how Cage bails, first and foremost. Then you figure Phoenix gets distracted because, you know, Marty is kind of, you know, doing his own thing, you know, with Melissa, whatever. And that just kind of leaves poor Puma here isolated, because I think Sexy's paired off with, like, Taya because, you know, she hates her and she's going after that whole thing. And then Puma ends up getting, I think it was like, what? Double teamed by PJ and Johnny, and Johnny ultimately hits End of the World on Puma, and he pins him again before Ultima Lucha Trace.
But let's not allow ourselves to forget that the big reason behind Puma really being at a disadvantage here was because of the Jeremiah situation, because he stole Cage's gauntlet and Cage abandoned the goddamn team. So it came down to 3-on-4. But I mean, it's 3-on-4, but at the same time, you had to think going into it that Puma was really counting on Cage to do a lot of the legwork. Because when you recruit somebody like Cage, it's like, okay, well, I mean, we can take it easy now because we got this guy on our team. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then when it's like...
Cage is just like, yeah, sorry, guys, but that gauntlet is way more important than any of you will ever be.
Exactly. It's like, Cage, no! But yeah, no, he left him high and dry. And because of that, Puma was susceptible to double team offense, which I felt like protected him quite well because it wasn't Mundo and Puma one-on-one.
Yeah, dude, I was even thinking about that throughout, like, as it was happening. I was like, oh man, Cage left. And then as they were beating down Mundo and Johnny at the end of the world, I was like, wow, like, Johnny Mundo just pinned his challenger clean on an episode of the television leading up to, like, what is basically the WrestleMania. and it doesn't necessarily feel like, I don't feel angry about it. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, why would you bury Puma like that? Because they did such a good job of making it sort of one of those situations where he has an excuse. Like, you can say, well, yeah, it was easier for them to double team and beat him down together because they didn't have their muscle in cage. And it just makes a lot of sense. I really love the way that this entire situation was handled, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think it gives the heel some much needed momentum. You know, it gives Puma that one last obstacle to clear before calling himself champion again. And then post-match, you know, we continue the narrative build because Marty is creeping on Melissa, you know, thinking like, oh, well, we won. You know, to the victor goes the spoils, and that's all Marty's ever really seen Melissa as, is an object. Yeah. And then she's just slapping him over and over. Just
7 times. I counted. She slapped him 7 times.
Yeah, 7 times she slapped him. And yeah, it was crazy. And then when Marty really seems like he's about to, you know, really do some damage to Melissa, Phoenix comes in with the super kick and the save. So yeah, Phoenix getting the job done, keeping Melissa safe for another night. And that's pretty much that. Do you have any other thoughts on this before we move on?
Dude, this, I have more to say about Phoenix when we actually get to that mixed tag match, the intergender tag match. But like, the fact that Lucha Underground squeezes so much story out of one match, I love it, man. Because not only do you have all of the interweaving stories between the members of the 2 different teams, but then even post-match, because Marty ended up being involved in this, because Johnny didn't want Ricky in it, because he didn't ask for permission to change his name to Mundo, Marty being involved just leads to, and Marty being involved makes so much sense too. Like, not even taking Melissa into account, Marty being involved makes sense because of his ties to Sexy Star and Phoenix. Like, he has legitimate reason to not like them and want to beat them. So it makes all the sense in the world that he would be the 4th member of the team after they kick Ricky out. So that just by itself, from a logical standpoint, that makes sense. But then you get to the post-match, and like, Marty's out there and he just won. He's feeling victorious. So what does he do? Creeps on Melissa. It makes all the sense in the world for his character to be this much of a creeper. Melissa stands up for herself. And then basically the slaps are just buying time so that when Phoenix shows up and super kicks the shit out of Marty, it finally creates that separation so that Phoenix and Melissa can get away from his ass. And I just loved it, man. This was so good. And Phoenix, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of the Phoenix character, and the way he wrestles sometimes does kind of have that Kushida vibe where it feels like he just reverses everything, and he's kind of got that, like, you know, 2 little kids playing army men, and one of them's like, oh, I shot you, and then the other one's just constantly like, no, you missed, no, I dodged, no, you can't hit me, no, see, I countered. Like, that's kind of like what the Kushida / Phoenix / babyface Usos style reminds me of. It's the little kid that refuses to be made to look anything but awesome when they're playing a fantasy game with
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A dated reference, because maybe people don't play with army men anymore like I did when I was little. But yeah, like, that's what that style reminds me of, and it pisses me off, and it's annoying because I had friends that did that, and I wanted to punch them, but I didn't because they were my friends, and I just let it slip. And sometimes I harassed them for it. But regardless, yeah, the style itself pisses me off, but damn, is he a good worker. Like, he's a hell of an athlete, and I swear to you, John, he throws the single best super kick I have ever seen in my life. And like, that speaks volumes, because like, we watch the Young Bucks matches all the time. The Usos throw good super kicks. We've both lived through Shawn Michaels. Hell, Johnny Mundo even throws a hell of a super kick. But holy shit, does Phoenix have the best super kick ever?
Yeah, it's really something. I will give the devil his due. Phoenix in ring, while he can kind of make me groan sometimes for that Kushida factor that you just mentioned, like, he's good at what he does. And that's why, like, that's what always bothers me about performers like Phoenix. It's like, I want to like them. You know, yeah. It's not like this thing where I go in actively looking to hate them. It's just like, it just really doesn't do it for me. But man, in the ring, can they get it done without question? Yeah. So I am glad you spotlighted
Phoenix
that.
Is kind of similar to Ricochet in that respect. Because with Ricochet, like, I absolutely love him in the ring, pretty much flawless to me in the ring. Like, obviously, he probably has flaws that I just overlook because of how much he has so much great going for him. But like, and then we get to like the immaturity and stuff. So it's like, I kind of don't want to like him because of the immaturity and the unprofessionalism and shit like that. But he's so fucking good in the ring that I just can't not like him. Phoenix is kind of the opposite. Like Phoenix is an awesome performer, and I want to like him, but the way that he like his psychology is what it is. The psychology, the ring psychology for me from him makes it really hard to like him, even if I want to like him, which I do.
Right. Yeah, I think you articulated that perfectly, because that's a struggle I've been noticing. I've been having a lot lately with certain performers, and yeah, it's irritating. But man, when you're good, you're good. With that said, let's move on to our
Katrina backstage, and Jeremiah shows up, and he's just like, "Oh, hey, I brought you a gift," and it's the gauntlet. And she goes to grab it. He's just like, you have something that I want. And she's like, what? And he just points to his nasty ass liver lips, and he wants her to kiss him. But then before anything actually has a chance to happen, Mil clobbers the shit out of him. And that allows Katrina to grab the gauntlet. But then as she's trying to escape, Cage shows back up, tells her, oh, you're wondering why you can't teleport away? It's because of the gauntlet's power. It's not going anywhere with you. So she drops it. And because she doesn't have it in her hands anymore, she can now teleport. So she does. And then as Cage goes to pick it up, Mil kicks him, and we get a three-way brawl between Jeremiah, Mil, and Cage. And while they're fighting amongst each other, Dario Cueto grabs the gauntlet and walks away. So this was a great segment, too. I loved it.
Can I just say that I love that that's Cage's opening line for his part of this, as if he's talking directly to us. Like, Lucha Underground just knows that we're going to be on that shit, right? So they send, like, this big hulking guy as if to say, shut up. We got this. And it's like, all right, goddamn. Wasn't even going to ask anything, but okay. So no, in all seriousness, I love that they got ahead of that. They established it immediately, because it really shows that they're really very thoughtful about their own product, which should be obvious, but you look at some promotions and sometimes it really makes you wonder. So yeah, really appreciated that by them. The brawl, of course, was great. And then Dario Cueto just coming in and scooping it up for himself and his own insidious purposes is just fucking classic. Like, of course he would. Like, he's looking at this, he's getting a little chub, and he's like, how can I sustain this? Oh, I have an idea. Takes gauntlet and schemes. Like, just great. I love Lucha Underground. I pretty much loved everybody involved in this, because I've even said, like, Sami Callihan, didn't really like him as Solomon Crow in NXT, and really I blame that on him being underutilized, but that's another commentary for another time. I hate him in PWG, but I feel like him in Lucha Underground, they just get him right there, and it works.
Dude, I swear, like, don't get me wrong. Joey Ryan is a sleazeball, but I feel like Sami Callihan or Jeremiah Crane, whatever you want to call him, is the grossest wrestler I think I've ever seen. And it's like he does it on purpose, but he's so good at just being gross. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but like, yeah, like between like the sleazy like demeanor, and it's not even like Joey Ryan, like comic sleazy. It's just like gross, you know? Like, I can't even think of it to describe him. He's just gross, man. Like,
repulsive, man. Repulsive.
I know, like, that's it. And then like he does this shit even like in the ring where like he spits on his hand to do a slap, and it's not like a simple like two. No, like he hawks a loogie and then spits it up on his hand high and lets the spit drip off of his hand. Like, it's nasty.
It is. He's gross. He's fucking gross. And yeah, like Lucha Underground just embraces that, and it works. Mil, of course, is fucking king. Like, you don't screw with Mil Muertes. And
I really hope Mil is recovered from his double knee surgery by the time season 4 tapings.
I didn't even know he had double knee surgery. That's
I think back in like October or November, which is like really recent, unfortunately. So I'm worried he's going to miss something. At the very least, I hope that he's back before the end of season 4 tapings, even if he can't be here by the start of season 4 tapings, which literally starts in like 2 days.
Well, you know what, dude? Like, I know you and I, and especially you here, I want to keep the focus there, but you know, we love Mil. But this could actually be like a narrative asset to Lucha Underground, because keep in mind, and again, we can always talk freely because you always put the spoiler warning at the beginning, because Cuerno returned and attacked Muertes and took the gauntlet, they can write that, you know, Katrina just didn't want to rush into battle, that they've been scheming the whole time, and then maybe have Cuerno have the temple as his playground, really be dominant in his comeback, really put him at the forefront, and then towards the end of the season, then Mil reemerges, and it's like, I'm going to do to you what you did to me. I'm going to take everything from you. And then season 5, then hopefully we could really get this feud off the ground again, because I don't mind them doing it again. And we get the full story told here that they want told. So I think they can make this work.
It's kind of a weird prediction, but I kind of get the feeling that Lucha Underground season 4 is going to be kind of similar to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 5, in the sense that, like, we keep doing the joke, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in space. I think Lucha Underground season 4 is going to be kind of that similar fish out of water story, where we're going to take a lot of the familiar characters that we are already, we already know about, I already said familiar with, and we're just going to take them out of the temple and put them somewhere else. And it might just be for one season, or it might be like a permanent transplant, but we already know there's a new temple. But I don't know if it's the quote unquote new temple in the sense that, like, it's replacing the old one on a permanent basis, or if it's the new temple in the sense that it's the temple this season because of storyline purposes. Because, like, I heard there was a big rumor going around that, like, this past, I think, August, that Lucha Underground had reserved the temple that we've gotten used to for their season 4 taping. So I don't think that that's necessarily off their radar. I just think that there's a very distinct possibility that we're moving to this cold, like, blue, icy temple, because who shot Dario Cueto at the end of season 3?
Winter. Fucking winter.
Cold, winter, ice, winter, winter.
Wow. Yeah. That's really something to think about. Yeah, man.
So I'm thinking the new temple is going to be the winter temple. Like, I think he is, like, the storyline, and obviously I could be way off base, and we'll find out in a few months. Maybe even get some hints prior to that. I don't know if, any of the writers are going to drop any hints, or if we're just going to get a really good trailer in, like, March or April or May. I hope the season starts in May, but I've been hearing summer now, so maybe it will be June. I don't know. But I think, now, again, this is speculation. I wish I knew more, but I think they might go with the story of, as far as anyone else knows, Cueto is dead. The temple is no longer being run by anyone because of that. But Katrina is also out of the picture, so there was nobody to really seize that power like she did in season 2 when she became the proprietor. And Agent Winter doesn't really want to hang around in that temple, so he starts a new underground fight club under the guise of Lucha Underground in a temple that he calls home. And a lot of the same people, but maybe not necessarily all the same people, show up. So I think that that's kind of going to be the story in season 4. I think it's going to be very much similar in that fish out of water sense to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 5, because it really does kind of make me think of, like, these people that we're familiar with being transplanted into somewhere that we're not familiar with, and maybe the team is incomplete, but maybe it's only temporary, and maybe they come back to what we're more used to in the following season. I don't know. I'm speculating, but that's an idea that gets me excited.
Well, yeah, it certainly seems like a well thought out idea. I'll be interested to see how Lucha Underground plays it. But that's still a ways away, unfortunately. So in the meantime, that was pretty much it for this cinematic. So let's move on. And we've got an Aztec medallion match. El Dragon Azteca versus Pentagon Dark.
And this is one of the matches that I didn't really take extensive notes for. All I have is the finish. So if you have a lot to say, go.
Not particularly, partner. I
this
felt
was
like
a shorter match. I think this match only lasted like 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah, like, I mean, you got two great performers in there in Pentagon Dark and El Dragon Azteca, who I honestly can't wait to see what he does in season 4, because I feel like he's another one whose star has, like, slowly been on the rise. But yeah, I mean, it's Pentagon's era right now. The reactions he gets are crazy. He pretty much owns the temple, and he gets the win here after the Fear Factor. And yeah, so Pentagon's going to Gift of the Gods, and we know that Pentagon's determination, he wants to have Aztec gold around his waist. So yeah, short match, not really much to say about it. Pentagon gets the win.
You know, you said El Dragon Azteca Jr.'s star has been slowly on the rise, and I absolutely agree with you, but I think that there's somebody else whose star might be on a trajectory for the stars that we get to talk about in our next episode, because it's a guy that has been a heel all along, but might have probably had a face turn at the end of the season at Ultima Lucha, and might just be like that guy. Like, he might be like the next heart and soul of the temple now that Puma's gone. So We'll talk about him once we get to episode 36, but for now, let's just finish talking about 35. As far as the Dragon Azteca Jr. Pentagon match, Pentagon via Fear Factor. Post-match, he goes to break El Dragon Azteca Jr.'s arm, but who stops him, John?
Matanza.
Oh my goodness. But here's what I like, though. He shows up and kind of gets in Pentagon's face, and it's really, that's all it takes for Pentagon to back off. But then Dario uses the key to distract Matanza and prevent him from really getting into it with Pentagon. And then we get Rey coming out because obviously he wants to protect El Dragon Azteca Jr. And Matanza and Dario are kind of like off in the corner. And there was this great moment where Dario was like talking to Matanza and he was just like, that'll show him the power of the Cueto family. And then, yeah, Rey, because he's out there to protect El Dragon Azteca Jr., he's already out there. So he goes and does, like, I think a running drop kick to Matanza to start the match. And Dario does the ring the bell. So we get this match underway already. Main event, Matanza Rey.
Yeah. And really a great back and forth match. You know, Rey, of course, being the babyface, being the king, right, of Lucha Libre, has got all the fanfare. But Matanza is just so hard to stop. And I really loved how, you know, violent and just impossible Matanza seemed to be to Rey in this match. And I really loved how they did the finish, because I feel like it protects Rey, but it also protects the mystique of Matanza. He gets pretty much like a Wrath of the Gods, and he hooks Rey's leg, but Rey's foot is on the rope, but then Dario knocks it off, and that's how he gets the 3 count. But really, it's not so much the match, but the post-match, because Matanza absolutely destroys Rey here. I mean, just leaves him a broken wreck. I think I have here in my notes. Yeah, he wrapped the chair around his throat twice, and he threw him into the ring post. He slammed his back on the chair. Like, he messed Rey's back up, his throat up. Again, really broke him down. And then, of course, that final image, it's really been burned in our brains ever since. He carries Rey Mysterio off to where we don't know. I'm trying to remember,
did we even see Rey after this point? Or was he, like, was the only other time that we saw him? Because I'm trying to remember, did we ever see him, like, at all? And if we did, if I'm remember correctly, was it like just an image of him locked in a cell next to Matanza's cell? I don't remember.
No, we never saw any of that, dude. This is the
last. We never even saw Rey again, and we probably never will. So this was basically his write-off of the entire series.
Yeah, because even though his appearance at the Royal Rumble was a one-off, which when you think about it in the context of this is hilarious, because I just pictured that interview. Oh, I was able to escape the clutches of a monster and his brother, and I just thought I'd stop by, you know, make it a return. Hi, everybody. But yeah, you know, it's crazy that this.
You know what though? Even if they wanted to make that into a story, they could legitimately make it an emotional moment where Rey just says, like, I had to escape. And when I did escape, I set off an alarm. So I knew that they were going to find me eventually. And I wanted to do the thing that I love one more time before they put me back in. And that was performing in front of thousands of fans. That's the ultimate underdog story that WWE and Lucha Underground both love with Rey so much.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I actually really love that idea. I hope they go with at least something similar like that, because you got to address that, oh, you know, Rey, you look really beat up, but you looked fine only like a little while ago at the Royal Rumble. So, yeah, we'll see how they handle it, if they even choose to handle it like explicitly.
I mean, to be fair, if Dario is no longer in the picture, even if it's only for the first like couple episodes or the first dozen episodes or however they want to work it, it would make a lot of sense that if we're in a new temple, if Winter let Rey out of his cage, because Winter didn't really have any reason to keep Rey there.
Exactly. And maybe Winter's like, you know, being at the FBI and stuff, he didn't want to have a potential like humanitarian crisis, like the forced imprisonment of a human being and stuff like that on his hands. So he's like, you know, because it's much easier to conceal stuff when the person's dead, right? But if the person's alive, especially with the notoriety of Rey Mysterio, and they could use that too. It's not just anybody, no offense to anybody that's been murdered in the temple, but it is Rey Mysterio. Like, that's a big deal. And Winter probably,
No, I'm agreeing with you.
No, yeah, because I was just saying, like, because Rey's such a big deal, Winter could say to himself, you know, I don't need the people of Mexico or in the U.S. because Rey he's transcendent. He has international appeal. I don't need them asking questions. So, yeah, I actually feel like we kind of worked it out. I'm sure Lucha Underground worked it out the same way. We'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, that's the end of episode 35. So let's get right into episode 36. I'm curious about, like, what you wanted to talk about with that one person that you said might have had a face turn. And we begin here with a Melissa and Phoenix training cinematic. And I'll let you take the reins on this one, partner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This was kind of a strange segment because, you know, I always I'm not sure how to handle it and how to feel about it when we get one person speaking English that really only understands English, and then another person speaking Spanish that really only understands Spanish, and yet somehow they understand what each other is saying. That always threw me off with the Mac and Sexy Star too. Like, I don't, whatever. I get from an entertainment standpoint why you wouldn't have them speak to each other in the same language or have them speak to each other in like the other person's preferred language. Like, to me, if I have a friend who's a primarily Spanish speaker that doesn't understand English super well, I would want to speak as much Spanish as I could to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But regardless, because we have Melissa speaking in English here, we have Phoenix speaking in Spanish, and Phoenix is basically helping Melissa to train. They're sparring, going at it. You know, she gets a submission on him, makes him tap, that kind of thing. He gets a cover on her, she kicks out, and then she mounts him like she's gonna do like mounted punches or something like that, and tells him that she wants to see him without the mask. And as soon as she says that, pretty much, he shoves her away and says, "My mask is everything to me. Before I wore it, I was nobody, but when I put it on, I became the Phoenix, and I rose from the ashes of my past life." And then she said, "Mask or no mask, you're still Phoenix to me." To which he replies, "No, if this mask is taken from me, I will have lost everything." And then she, being the sweetheart that she is, comes back with, "Well, you won't lose me." And then she goes to walk away. He grabs her arm. She reverses it. She dips him and kisses him. So that's the big moment. I think this is the first time we've seen them kiss, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be. So that was very interesting to see. You know, we can definitely see that their relationship is intensifying. You know, they've definitely grown to care for one another, which also has very other interesting plot threads, but we'll get more into that when we do cover Ultima Lucha Trace.
I just looked through my entire Lucha Underground Season 3 notes, and at no other point did I have them having any kind of a kiss. So this is the first one.
Yeah, a momentous occasion for this on-screen relationship for sure. And yeah, I think you covered all the points brilliantly. There's really nothing more I can add. It's just that tension of Phoenix has that pride as a luchador. My mask is everything. I'm nothing without it. And Melissa's just trying to get him to see beyond it and see that, like, oh, well, you have me. Like, that should be more important than your mask. And, you know, we really don't know how this is going to play out in the future, but we know in the present they've got bigger things to worry about, like the Moth siblings. So, you know, we'll get to that, though, in a little bit. Because, yeah, we go from that to Tejano versus Dante Fox. And Famous B is ring announcing. He's got his arm in a sling. And because Melissa's competing tonight, which I love that they did this. So Melissa's competing. Famous B's got his arm in a sling. Let's kill two birds with one stone. This will give Famous B something to do. And it'll keep Melissa's spot warm, you know, while she's taking care of business with the Moth twins. Or the Moth siblings, excuse me. And, yeah, we got Tejano versus Dante Fox. And, yeah, not a bad match. But Dante Fox, keeping that momentum going, wins via a roll-up. And Famous B had caused Tejano the match because he had distracted Tejano. And that's how you know, Dante Fox was able to capitalize. So Tejano's had it up to here with Famous B. He's about ready to give it to him. You know, he grabs him and really looking like he's going to put a hurting on him. But Dario stops Tejano and says, look, I'm not going to have you beat him up. I need him for ring announcing tonight because, you know, Melissa's competing with Phoenix against the Moth siblings. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you Famous B at Ultima Lucha Trace, but we're going to make it interesting because, you know, Famous B is complaining about, you know, I only have one arm. And then Dario's like, well, then I guess it's a handicap match.
I loved that so much.
Yeah, that was definitely the line of the whole exchange. And he says, look, Famous B, because you're only competing with one arm, and because Tejano really wants to put a hurting on you, I know you on your end, you've really wanted Tejano as a client. So I'm going to put Tejano's contract on the line. If you somehow manage to beat Tejano in the state that you're in, I will transfer the remainder of Tejano's contract to you. You will like oversee it. He will be your client. And Tejano, he is a bit taken aback by this, but he still agrees to it because he's thinking, I can beat Famous B, no problem. One arm, two arms, doesn't matter. He just feels like he's better than Famous B. So that's how we get our contract kind of matchup here. Famous B versus Tejano at Ultima Lucha Trace.
Yep. Dude, I love Cueto's reaction here, too. Like, first of all, the handicap match joke had me dying. And second of all, I love how, like, excruciatingly he had to emphasize how little he believed that Famous B could possibly beat Tejano. Because, like, it wasn't just if you could somehow manage to beat it. No, it was somehow, some way manage to defeat Tejano. Like, I just love the that extra little oomph that he put into it. It was so good. And of course he's good at that stuff because he's literally an actor. We need more actors.
Yeah, dude. I love the kind of playfulness that he brought to this, and he's just so entertaining. Like, that's the thing. Dario's a snake, but I love that he's got a snake with a certain charm to it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'd have a drink with Dario. I'd have a smoke with Dario. I'd talk business with him. And then he'd cave my skull in with his Red Bull and give me wings. But I would be lulled into that because he's just, again, he's got that charm. He's got that personality. So, yeah, I love the Dario character. I loved how he interacted with Famous B and Tejano here. Everything was great. So moving right along from that, we get our Pentagon Dark, Son of Havoc, and Dario cinematic. This is very interesting. So, Ashton, again, I'm going to let you take the reins on this one.
Yeah. I mean, it's just Dario putting the Aztec medallions into the Gift of the Gods Championship, which I find kind of weird because if I remember, to be that whoever put the medallion in the belt got the actual opportunity to win the belt.
Yeah, that was the ceremony they did, I believe, in season 2, right?
Yeah, because that was the whole thing where Chavo put the medallion in and Cage couldn't stop him, and then Cage ended up helping Chavo win and then beat Chavo for the title later. So,
well, maybe because of that incident of Chavo taking a spot that wasn't even his, Dario wanted to avoid that altogether.
That's a great point. That's actually a really great point. I never even thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. And so Son of Havoc is just kind of there, and he says, when I win the Gift of the Gods Championship, I'm going to use it to get into the main event of Ultima Lucha Trace, basically the match that he got screwed out of at Ultima Lucha Dos in the Ultimate Opportunity Tournament or whatever it was. So, that was the for a unique opportunity tournament. That's right. The Ultimate Opportunity was the gauntlet. I forgot about that. But then Pentagon does show up and he says, I'm going to, he and Son of Havoc have a little face down. And then he tells Cueto that he's going to win the Gift of the Gods and that everyone that enters that ring, he's going to break their arms. And and then he does the porque cero miedo thing. And then he leaves. And then Dario makes a call and he says, hey, we're going to need some medics out here for the main event.
Yeah, I mean, Dario is already well prepared. He knows the people he's dealing with, especially just Pentagon Dark by himself. He'll break every bone in that goddamn ring without a second thought. So, yeah, I love that. I love the passing glance between, him and Son of Havoc. I love that both him and Son of Havoc in their own ways are just committed to the idea. We're going to Ultima Lucha Trace. We're leaving with the Lucha Underground Championship. Pentagon Dark, I mean, you could say he's had the story all along with all the fanfare that he has and coming so close to beating Matanza at Ultima Lucha Dos, but making one mistake. And then Son of Havoc, of course, getting screwed out of the Ultima Lucha Trace main event originally by winning the For Unique Opportunity Tournament, but then falling to Dr. Wagner Jr. So I love that both of these guys with legitimate claims to the title in their own ways are kind of meeting in the middle here. I think it makes for a very interesting cinematic that we'll see, play out later in the night in the Gift of the Gods match. But then we get to our next matchup here. Phoenix and Melissa versus Marty the Moth and Mariposa, the Moth siblings. And I got to say, this is a really fun match. I love the story they told where Phoenix tried to do most of the match because Melissa was so inexperienced. Like, even if we just took the snapshot, the cinematic that we got earlier of them training, they want you to believe that Melissa hasn't been training that long because she's always been the ring announcer. So Phoenix is trying to do the heavy lifting as best he can. But then, there comes a point where Melissa does tag in because she wants in on the action. She wants a piece of, things that are going on. And they have some fun double teams. They're kind of, playing around, having fun with it. I think they did a spot where, like, Mariposa, like, headbutts Marty in the balls, and they're, like, having a good time with it. But then I love how reality begins to set in because they're thinking, oh, we're in control. Oh, look how great Melissa looks. And then Phoenix goes to the top rope for something, and Mariposa crotches him. And then when Melissa goes to cover Marty, he kicks out. So then when it's like, oh, shit, I can't pin him, and Phoenix is out of commission, like, she tries to get out of it, and that's when she's trapped like a caged animal. And they more or less put her down. And I love it because it's like, again, they're having fun with it. I think Phoenix was taking it seriously at first, but then him and Melissa were working so well together, they both kind of let their guard down. And then it happens. You know, Phoenix is taken out. And then Melissa tries getting away, but she's actually sandwiched between Mariposa and Marty. And they ultimately put her down with what I put in my notes as like a double team pedigree. I think it was like Mariposa had Melissa in the wheelbarrow position, but then Marty has Melissa's head between his legs. That's, you know, kind of the sexual thing there, the double arm underhook, and then the pedigree kind of maneuver. And Phoenix is bound up on the ring post, I think, because Mariposa tied him up. So he's watching all of this happen. Again, it goes from a rah-rah, you know, look at Melissa, how great, how empowering, to really like a psychological horror, just watching all this unfold, watching Phoenix really be traumatized in real time. And yeah, then Marty just pins Melissa in kind of a sexual way, if I remember correctly, because, you know, he's just a creeper and that's just his thing. And yeah, they just continue to rub it in Phoenix's face. They go to cut Melissa's hair, actually. They're going to take it that far. But
I love that even in that case, Matt Stryker is just like, oh, maybe Marty thinks that if he cuts Melissa's hair, she will no longer be appealing to Phoenix and she can have her to himself. Like, first of all, it's crazy to me that Matt Stryker even thinks in a way that he can come up with that explanation. But second of all, that's exactly what Marty was thinking. And what a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, right? I love it, dude. I love it. And Phoenix was able to get away just in time to make the save. And, you know, he's kind of hugging Melissa close, and Melissa just looking so fearful, like, oh, God, you know, what happened? I thought we had it. And then, you know, reality set in. I don't want to do this anymore. Just put me back behind the mic to do the ring announcing. And yeah, I just love, again, what a creeper Marty is. See, and I already did like practically a dissertation in the last episode talking about why I love Marty as opposed to being met on Nikki Cross. It's because a universe like the Lucha Underground universe really allows you to commit to having a character like this. Because this is what I expect when you come out and you tell me that your character is of a psychotic nature, or of an unhinged nature. Like, these are the actions I expect you to undertake. Not just running the ropes really fast or acquainting your face with a top turnbuckle of your own volition. No, this crazy shit. And I love it. I thought it was done so well. But I'm wondering, was the heel that you were talking about that maybe like having that be the heart and soul, were they in this match? Is this what you're referring to, or what?
No, we kind of skipped over it, and I never really got a chance to comment on it, but it was Dante Fox.
Oh, it was Dante. Well, no, if you want to go back, because I'd love to hear your fully fledged thoughts on that then.
No, like, just really when he was making his entrance, I just had this thought of like, holy shit, this dude was a heel for the entire time that we've seen him up until the very last match that we saw him in. And then in that last match that we saw him in that tag match, or the trios match where he and Killshot and the Mag won the titles, he kind of worked babyface. And I think he might be a babyface now because like the Hell of War was like the big payoff. And just the idea of a babyface Dante Fox host trios champions, which means that like a solo run, gets me so like, that's the kind of guy that I could see taking up like that heart and soul of the temple, kind of like Prince Puma mantle. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, do I know what you mean? You know what a huge advocate I am for Dante Fox, so I am picking up everything you're laying down right now.
Well, and there's the thing. That's what I meant.
Yeah, like here's the thing about that too. I feel like with the way they've built him up, that's entirely feasible.
Well, yeah, because like it's funny because it was just like as you were mentioning El Dragon Azteca Jr.'s slow build at the top, I was just like, you know, you're right, but under our noses, they've also built Dante almost better than El Dragon Azteca Jr. because they've built Dante as like just such a tough ass, hard ass, badass. Like he is just that dude now. Like I don't know, like you see the punishment that he suffered in that Hell of War match, and we'll get to that next week, actually, which holy shit, we get to watch that again. God damn, I can't wait. But like you watch that and you see all the punishment that he had to take in that, and he kicked out of Killshot's kill stomp, and like he just the toughness that he's exhibited really like gets you like, God, I just want to cheer for this guy. And now if he's gonna let us, that's the kind of formula that creates top stars in the wrestling industry. And he's got the stuff to really carry that weight.
Dude, I completely agree with you. In fact, there's really nothing productive I think I could add to that, even though we could talk about Dante's potential forever because I adore the man that much. Yeah. So let's keep the ball moving. I already talked about how Marty goes to cut Melissa's hair, but Phoenix makes a save. So we get our Gift of the Gods match. And, I'm going to be honest.
Prior to that, we do get an Ultima Lucha Trace card rundown.
Okay.
The matches that we're going to be getting on Ultima Lucha Trace that they know about at this point. So those matches, we've got El Dragon Azteca Jr. versus Matanza, Ivelisse versus Katrina, which is kind of a big announcement because at this point we hadn't seen Ivelisse most of the season. And then we're going to be doing the Phoenix Marty Mask versus Hair, Sexy Star versus Taya. And I think I didn't catch if it was actually announced that it was the last woman standing match here, the last luchadora standing, but that is what it ended up being. Killshot versus Dante Fox, Hell of War, and they kind of explained that would be 3 hellacious matches where whoever gets 2 wins wins the match. And then Puma Mundo for the Lucha Underground title. So that's kind of the Ultima Lucha Tres card rundown. And then we get into our Gift of the Gods title match. Paul London, Mala Suerte, Saltador, Cortez Castro, Drago, Son of Havoc, and Pentagon Dark.
Yeah. I enjoyed this match. Do I think it was one of the better Gift of the Gods championship matches? That's kind of debatable. Because even thinking about the one where Chavo won it, like I even love the finish where Cage just lays waste to everybody. I don't really think there was anything like too mind-popping to me about this one. Not saying it was bad, because again, I've become a huge fan of the Rabbit Tribe, rewatching this season, and of course seeing them do their thing was cool. But yeah, I really feel like, again, Lucha Underground had like bigger plans, and that was just really all about Ultima Lucha Trace, and this was just like another pit stop, because really the big thing to come out of this was the double pin. Son of Havoc gets the shooting star. And I thought I originally had in my notes who they pinned. I know it was 2 members of the Rabbit Tribe, so I want to say it was probably Saltador and Mala Suerte.
I can tell you it was Mala. I have it in my notes who got pinned. It was Saltador and Paul London.
Oh, Paul London. So I was right about 2 Rabbit Tribe members, just I was wrong about the second one. So yeah, they both get pinned by Havoc and Pentagon, and then Dario comes out and he makes the the Gift of the Gods ladder match between Son of Havoc and Pentagon for Ultima Lucha, which I'm going to say right now is probably both of our least favorite match on the Ultima Lucha card. I don't know if we're going to maybe soften up on it when we rewatch it, which is why I'm saying it now, because maybe we'll come away with a different opinion. Yeah. But yeah, Dario does make that match. So yeah, not a bad Gift of the Gods, but I think compared to others, it's like, I don't really know, because none of them really stood out to me, again, besides the finish. But after that, we do get a cinematic. God, I love these cinematics. But again, I know these are usually your domain. It's Dario and Winter. So tell us what happened and tell us what you thought of it, partner.
Yeah. So Dario has the gauntlet and he talked about how he's retrieved it, but he's worried. And then we get this great intimidating moment where Winter's just like, yeah, you should be worried. You just did that. Like, what are you doing? And then Peter's just like, no, you don't understand. I'm worried that Cage might actually be a machine because he still hasn't been possessed by this god that's supposed to be taking him over by the gauntlet. And then he basically comes up with the idea to have a match at Ultima Lucha Tres, Cage, Jeremiah Crane, and Mill, where the winner gets the gauntlet. And if Cage happens to win again, then he gets the gauntlet. But if the possession fails again, then Dario personally is inviting the Lord into the temple to destroy Cage himself.
God, when this cinematic first happened, I remember you and I freaking out because we're thinking, oh man, this is going to lead to a major development with the Lord storyline.
And of course, it led to a major development, just not with the Lord storyline.
Exactly. Like, that's another thing too. Like, sometimes it's hard to remember or keep track of like all the storylines to me that Lucha Underground has going, both major and minor. And like, that's not even necessarily a bad thing, because I don't really think they've dropped the ball. I mean, I'm still curious what they're going to do about the whole Sexy Star Spider thing, given, contracts and all that other shit. But, like, damn, I there are times I honestly forget about the Lord. And I'm like, oh, that's a thing. That's right. So that's crazy to think about, that whole thing was even teased at that time. And yeah, I love this cinematic, dude. I really, again, love that Dario can just, through his teeth, can just say anything to survive. Like, oh no, I've got this plan. It's going to be great. And then Winter's just looking at him like, better be. Better be. You know, just that whole ominous feel to it. So I love this. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, man, this was, God, like, I was more excited about it the first time around because I was really hopeful that we would get crazy shit with the Lord. But even in hindsight, this was still a huge moment. You know, it really did kind of not clarify, but kind of extrapolate on what the motivations are involving the gauntlet. So I appreciated that. And obviously, it seemed kind of obvious prior to this, but this made the match that we would be getting on Ultimate Lucha Trace between these three guys official, which I appreciate as well. I always
absolutely,
like, if we speculate about a match, it's always useful to have it officially confirmed as happening, and that's kind of what this did.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying, man. I think you echoed my sentiments perfectly. And that's episode.
I wonder if the Lucha Underground writers just sit around like, oh yeah, and then we'll have Dario tell the Lord that he invites him to the Temple to destroy Cage if Cage wins, but then we won't have Cage win. That's gonna get people going crazy.
Exactly, dude. I'm telling you, man. They're playing chess, and I'm still reading the fucking manual of how to play chess. I ain't even playing checkers. I'm just trying to keep up as best I can. I'm like, take me with you. But no, it's great. I love Lucha Underground. I gotta be honest. I'm actually glad in a way that we're almost done the Lucha Rewatch because I'm really jonesing for that new content, dude. Like,
I know, really, dude, we're jonesing for the new content, but we might not get it for another 3 or 4 months. Oh.
Dude, it happens every time. That's why, because, like, I know you and I were even talking about, like, our schedule, because, you know, I've got business to attend to in May. And to be honest with you, like, even in the back of my mind, I'm like, honestly, I'm not too worried because knowing Lucha, they're going to dick with us again, and it's going to be this other weird schedule, and now you're hearing this stuff. It's like, we weren't meant to be happy, dude. This was not what was meant for us. We were meant to suffer. That's what was meant for us. It's like, oh, you want Lucha Season 4? Yeah, it's going to be delayed about 3 months. But isn't there anything?
Dude, it's funny, though, because, like, I was hearing that Lucha Underground Season 4 was ready to start taping as early as, like, December, and then it was January, and now it ended up being February, but, like, thing is, I also heard that once that the Lucha Underground Season 4 was confirmed, I was hearing, like, post WrestleMania, which got me thinking April, but then I heard May, and then Johnny Mundo was in a video recently where he said summer, so that makes me think June. So, like, it's like it just keeps getting pushed back, and, like, not only is that kind of, like, frustrating, but then we also find out that it's going to be a shorter season, like 23 episodes is what I've heard.
I know, dude. See, that's the thing, man, that, like, and I know it's not Lucha Underground's fault, so this is not an indictment of the program, but it is so hard when you love something so much and you get the good shit of, like, a 39 episode season.
Dude, I know, right? Like,
yeah.
Like this, I feel like this is how Gravity Falls fans felt if they were trying to watch it as it was airing new episodes, because there were so many breaks, like, during and between seasons. Like, I feel like this is what those people went through, and luckily, I say luckily because of what they had to go through, but luckily we got to Gravity Falls after every episode had already aired, so we didn't have to worry about all the breaks. But now we're dealing with it with Lucha Underground, and it's thankfully, I mean, you know, the thing is, though, I was even getting ready to say, thankfully, we aren't getting breaks in the middle of a season, but we literally just had that in season 3, and that killed so much of the buzz among, like, the wrestling fan public about Lucha Underground. I just want season 4 to get that buzz back, and I want season 5 to happen quickly afterwards.
Yeah, because, see, here's the thing now, and I'm glad we can have this conversation, because new conversations, I think, always open up when something takes a step in the right direction.
Before you go, I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I genuinely hope that if Lucha Underground Season 4 does start in the summer, which happens to be June-ish, or maybe July at the latest, I hope that those 23 episodes air for the remainder of the year, with the final episode being like a week before Christmas. And then I hope that Season 5 starts right after WrestleMania. Or even, I mean, sooner than that I would love, but right after WrestleMania at the latest.
Yeah, see, and you pretty much hit on what I was getting ready to say before you wanted to make your point, is like, Lucha Underground's taking a step in the right direction by being a seasonal type program with an off season. I love that.
We just want regularity. We want
and that's just it. Right now the crux of the problem, because they've solved the main problem, giving workers an off season so they can work other dates, you know, whatever, and be a TV show. Now it's just the regularity, you know, and I feel like, but I will say this in Lucha, not necessarily Lucha Underground's defense, but I do notice a lot with shows that I love too. It's not just the Lucha Underground problem. I notice a lot of shows don't have that regularity anymore. Like most shows where you could expect, okay, they're always going to start in, say, September, right? Now it's like, oh, they may start anywhere from September to December. Like, it's just, I really don't know if most shows have that stability anymore, because, you know, I'm fans of shows like Black Mirror and BoJack Horseman, and it just seems like they do not have any regularity.
I know, but then we get like Stranger Things, and they just have the new season come out every Halloween now. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I want Lucha Underground to do, if they can, to have an established, like, you know, we go off this period and we return this period, because to me, that hits the sweet spot of going 365 days a year. Like, well, I mean, not WWE does, because they're not 365, but you get my point about that.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's why I'm saying, because, like, to me, the ideal sort of season for Lucha Underground would run from after WrestleMania right up to the end of the calendar year, and maybe up to right before the Royal Rumble. And then, you know that it sucks that I'm using WWE pay-per-views to describe it, but if you really want to maximize the amount of people that are watching your product, you have to have your product on the air when people are the most jaded about WWE, and WWE starts trying during the road to WrestleMania. So from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, I'm not saying don't even try to have your show on the air, because obviously if it was up to me, Lucha Underground would be on the air all year round. But to me, ideally, you want to stick with a 39 episode season, because that gives you 9 months on, 3 months off. And I think that's perfect, because then you've got like a really good chunk of the year to tell your story. But then you also get that basically summer break, which isn't literally a summer break, but in a sense, that's what it is, the 3-month break. And it would run from April until December or January. And that, like, to me, that's just my opinion on what I think would be like the perfect, if you're going to have a set schedule for Lucha Underground, which I'm guessing is probably never going to happen, but if it would, that would be the perfect one to me.
Yeah. I really, again, there's nothing really I can add. I think you said all that perfectly. I do just think, again, to reiterate one last time, that if Lucha Underground can really get that regularity, then they would be in such good shape to me. And I've been looking on Netflix, if they gotten the I wonder if they've gotten the 3rd season on Netflix up yet, because I would love for that to be available for people to watch, you know, and really give support to. It's like, yeah, I think that really, in a nutshell, is my only problem with Lucha Underground. Not even as like a product, but like the infrastructure, you can say, is that they've got all the tools. I just don't think they have that cohesive process together yet of the regularity and of like, okay, when is Netflix going to get our stuff, and like all this other, if they could just smooth over those finer details, man, they would be cooking. They would be cooking so fierce, because I really do believe in my heart of hearts that they are the best wrestling product going. And, you know, I think they're doing all the right things. They're doing all the progressive things. Again, just even having an off season, I think, is a fucking revelation compared to everything else going on around them. But, you know, you got to smooth those finer points over. But that said, this does round out Lucha Rewatch episode 18. And I've got nothing else to say, guys. We will see you later tonight, because we are returning with NXT reviews. So that's going to be huge. We're going live with that tonight at 9. So we'll see you there for that. So, Ashton, I'm going to hand the reins over to you. You can take us home on this.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really excited about NXT tonight, because I'm pretty sure, isn't tonight the career versus title match, Gargano Almas?
You bet it is. Can't wait to see my boy Andrade in action again. He's so fucking good.
Dude, that match is going to be straight just incredible.
I hope it's one of those matches that's really the entire show. Like, give it the entire show. And
I don't think it'll be the entire show, but it could definitely take up half the show, like a half hour of the hour show for sure.
Hell, even if they want to give it half the show, if you need to pull a done bait and just go over time, do it.
Yes,
do it. Like,
that would be cool
guys
too.
That fucking time.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So that's tonight, NXT review tonight, and tomorrow is Q&A. We go live at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be answering all the questions that you've asked since our last Q&A. So make sure to get those in. The best ways to ask questions are to either add a comment on one of these videos or to reply to John's pinned tweet. You go to his Twitter. He's got a tweet pinned to his profile on Twitter. All you got to do is reply to that to ask your questions. And those are the two ideal options that we want you guys to be asking questions through. The only other option that I think would be a really cool idea would be Discord. I know Cliff already asked his questions to me on Discord. I don't know if he asked you questions, the same questions, but I know there are some people that send them to both of us. If you're going to send one of us questions, don't send it to the other person, because then we end up with 2 sets of the same questions in the spreadsheet, and we don't want that. So yeah, I got some questions on Discord, and they're pretty easy to keep track of because I get an alert when I get any kind of a message on Discord. And speaking of Discord, if you're interested in joining the official patron Discord, it's only $3 a month. If you donate $3 a month to our Patreon, we will add you to the Discord, and that money will accumulate over time, allowing you to eventually, as it builds up, purchase live reactions or live reaction and review to a wrestling show of your choosing. We give you guys content control. The prices are very reasonable, and we really appreciate the donations, and we hope that you appreciate the content that we are able to give you in return for that money. And if you also are interested in our merch, well, then we have that too. We have a Teespring store. You can go there. We've got all kinds of different shirts at the Teespring store. You can check out the most recent shirt, which is kind of inspired by Tranquilo, by Naito, by Los Ingobernables de Japón, by El Ingobernable himself, and in a way also kind of inspired by Andrade Cien Almas, who we will be seeing tonight on NXT. We also have a Scum Squad for Life shirt. We have all of John's Because He's a Father, Damn It shirts. We have the official TWitWoW tee, which has the opening line to every episode of our TWitWoW reviews on it. We have the Roman Reigns It's Irrelevant shirt. We have the I'm a TWitWoW Guy and the I'm a TWitWoW Girl shirt. We have the Braun Strowman inspired I'm not finished with you shirt. And we do have the real face of the hashtag revolution inspired by Emma shirt. We have all kinds of shirts available, and it's not just shirts. If you're interested in one of the designs, but you don't want to blow over $20 on a t-shirt, you can spend $15 for a mug, you can spend $6 for a sticker, and all of those purchases, we will see a portion of what Teespring makes as profit. We will see some of that money, and it's going to go to help us and to support the show. So we appreciate any and all of it. We hope that you guys enjoy the merch as you get it. And, I think that's about all we have. I think we can kind of move on here. Remember to follow us both on Twitter, like the Facebook page, and like this video. And like I said earlier, when I was telling you guys about Q&A, remember to leave a comment on this video, whether it's your Q&A questions or if you have something to say about these episodes of Lucha Underground or our discussion in Lucha Rewatch. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And then once you do, remember to click the bell icon so you can get notified every single time we go live, or if we upload a video, which is rare, but does occasionally happen if we want to isolate a clip out of a live feed. And I think that's about it. So we will see you guys tonight. We have Q&A tomorrow, preview predictions for Elimination Chamber on Friday, live reactions to Elimination Chamber on Sunday. It is a stacked week and weekend, and we will see you tonight, most kind of upcoming tonight. Or if you're just here for Lucha content, we'll see you next week for the first half of our Ultima Lucha 3 Lucha rewatch. But regardless of whether you're going to be here tonight or tomorrow or Friday or Sunday or next Wednesday, the most important thing that you do is stay tuned.